Jonathan Walker remains an enigma, his story a testament to the fragile, mysterious potential within the human mind. What unlocked his genius? Was it a simple accident of biology or something greater beyond our understanding? There are some stories that baffle even the most brilliant minds among us. Stories that make you question the boundaries of human potential and the mysteries of the brain. Today, I want to tell you about an ordinary man who woke up one day. Extraordinary. His name was Jonathan Walker, a name plucked straight out of anonymity, belonging to an average 35-year-old man living in Detroit, Michigan. Jonathan was the type of guy you'd pass on the street and not think twice about. He lived in a modest apartment, worked as a repair technician for small electronics, and spent his weekends tinkering with gadgets in his garage or watching sports with his buddies. By all accounts, Jonathan's IQ was average. He struggled with math in high school, read occasionally, but preferred comic books to classics, and had never shown any particular aptitude for creativity or invention. But everything changed that cold January morning. Jonathan was on his way to work, bundled up against the Michigan winter, when he slipped on a patch of ice. Witnesses say they saw him fall hard, his head hitting the pavement with a sickening thud. He was unconscious for a few minutes before the paramedics arrived and rushed him to the hospital. At first, doctors thought it was a relatively mild concussion. He woke up groggy, but otherwise okay, cracking jokes with the nurses and assuring everyone he was fine. He was sent home the same day, resting with instructions to take it easy. But that's when the strangeness began. The night of the accident, Jonathan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. Numbers began racing through his mind, patterns he had never noticed before. Equations danced before his eyes, beautiful, mind-boggling equations he instinctively understood. With no formal mathematical training to speak of, Jonathan suddenly found himself mentally solving problems only PhD physicists would grapple with. It wasn't just numbers, though. His mind felt sharper, faster, like it was moving at a speed his body couldn't keep up with. The next morning, Jonathan tried to go about his day as normal, but things didn't feel normal. He could hear subtleties in ambient sound, the faint buzz of a light bulb, the distant hum of traffic. Colors looked brighter, almost overwhelming, as if his vision had been upgraded to high definition. When he tried to fix an old radio at work, something he was used to doing, he found himself spontaneously redesigning the circuitry to function more efficiently. By lunchtime, his coworkers began noticing he was different. Word spread around the office after Jonathan started casually explaining quantum theory during a coffee break. The same Jonathan who'd barely scraped by in high school physics was now rattling off concepts like wave-particle duality as if he'd written the textbooks himself. People listened, stunned, not sure whether he was joking or having some kind of episode. The real turning point came later that week when Jonathan started drawing. He had never explored art in his life. The most he could manage before the accident were kindergarten-level stick figures. But now, with a pencil in hand, he began to sketch impossibly intricate geometric patterns, fractals within fractals, designs so precise and otherworldly they looked like they'd been produced by a computer or an architect from the future. The sketches flowed out of him unconsciously, as if his hands were channeling knowledge from a source beyond himself. Friends, neighbors, and eventually strangers began taking notice. Genius recluse and modern-day savant were terms whispered in local coffee shops and on internet forums. People started showing up to Jonathan's home with questions, theories, and sometimes wild accusations. Was he faking it? Was this some kind of viral stunt? Had he made a deal with the devil? But any doubts melted away when Jonathan began producing work that simply couldn't be dismissed. Within a month, Jonathan had published several scientific papers online. The content of these papers was so complex, covering topics from astrophysics to artificial intelligence, that academics worldwide were astonished. Esteemed professors and researchers in their fields reached out, skeptical at first, but after speaking with Jonathan and seeing his work, they described feeling humbled in his presence. He wasn't just a savant. He was operating on a level previously thought unattainable by any human. Universities and research institutes begged him to join their ranks, But Jonathan avoided crowds. He preferred solitude, needing the quiet to focus as his mind raced with ideas. Local reporters who managed to score interviews described him as polite and unassuming, even shy, but occasionally speaking in ways they could only call prophetic. And this is where things take an unsettling turn. Jonathan's genius was not confined to scientific and artistic brilliance. He began having insights into the world that seemed impossible. For instance, he started predicting events, not like a fortune teller reading palms, but through cold, calculated logic. He anticipated sudden shifts in the stock market, changes in global weather patterns, even geopolitical conflicts. It was as if he could see the threads of chaotic systems and weave them into coherent predictions. Naturally, the media frenzy grew. People came to view Jonathan as a modern oracle, someone who had been gifted a divine understanding of the universe. Scientists, however, scrambled for explanations, and they weren't without theories. Neurologists speculated that his fall might have caused acquired savant syndrome, a rare but real condition where head injuries somehow unlock latent abilities in the brain. They theorized that regions of Jonathan's mind previously dormant were now hyperactive, forming connections at an unprecedented rate. But even this explanation felt incomplete. Savant syndrome often comes with limitations in other areas, like emotional or social skills. Yet Jonathan showed none of these deficits. In fact, he became more compassionate, volunteering anonymously at shelters and quietly donating much of the money he earned from his discoveries. And yet, Jonathan himself didn't seem happy. Those closest to him noticed an increasing fatigue in his demeanor. He spoke less and less, withdrawing from the world. When asked why, he reportedly said, "You don't realize how heavy knowledge can be until you carry too much of it." By the second year after his accident, Jonathan's behavior grew increasingly reclusive. He stopped answering emails, declined interviews, and ceased publishing his groundbreaking work. Then one day he simply disappeared. Neighbors reported seeing him leave his house with a single suitcase. The GPS on his car was later traced to a highway leading toward the Rockies. But beyond that, nothing. It was as if Jonathan had vanished into thin air. What happened to him? To this day, no one knows. Some believe he's living in seclusion, trying to quiet his ever-racing mind. Others think he left to avoid the pressure and expectations placed upon him as the world's new genius. There are even conspiracy theories that claim government agencies took him, wanting to study or exploit the secrets locked in his brain. Jonathan Walker remains an enigma, his story a testament to the fragile, mysterious potential within the human mind. What unlocked his genius? Was it a simple accident of biology, or something greater beyond our understanding? Wherever Jonathan is now, one thing is certain. His story reminds us that the line between the ordinary and the extraordinary can blur in an instant, leaving us to marvel and wonder at the depths of human potential. And perhaps that's the greatest mystery of all.